This is the Daytona International Speedway, scene of the 4th annual Firecracker 250. Today, 34 of the nation's fastest late model stock cars are competing in the NASCAR Grand National Championship race for more than $40,000 in prizes. This is Bill Fleming welcoming you to the beautiful Daytona International Speedway, where today we expect some tremendous speeds on this 2.5-mile high banked oval. The weather is particularly good today for racing because it's a little bit overcast. We had a few rain sprinkles this morning, and the temperatures, at least at race time, are not too high. They will, however, be climbing up into about the high 80s. The crowd's streaming into this gigantic racing plant here today, and they've come from all over the country to watch this 4th annual Firecracker 250. Before the race actually gets underway, I think it might be a good idea to sort of acquaint you with what the track looks like and how you'll be seeing it. This is where the starting line is. And if you'll follow me around, we'll go down a short straightaway into what they call the number 1 turn. It's 3,000 feet at 31 degrees around this turn and into the backstretch, which is 3,500 feet long. Into the number 3 turn. Again, 31-degree high bank, 3,000 feet around, out of the number 4 and down a short straightaway down the home stretch to the finish line. You can see it's sort of a tri-oval, and as you look at it from above, it's sort of like in the form of a letter D. This lake is called Lake Lloyd out here. As a matter of fact, a couple of the drivers have been in there. This area is the pit area, a very important and vital area it is indeed. And Chris Economaki, editor of the National Speed Sport News, is covering that area for us today.
This is a 4,000-pound, 405-horsepower stock car, of which there'll be 33 in today's race, a late scratch. And we'll be telling you all about the goings-on in the pits as the race progresses. Back to you, Bill Fleming.
This race today is on the Grand National Circuit of NASCAR. It's limited to late model stock cars, which means the current year and the past 2 years. So it means 1960, 61, and 62. And the cars will be going 100 times around this 2.5-mile oval. Now, before the pace lap gets underway, let's take a look at some of the elements that make automobile racing the great sport that it is.
A stock car, before it is raced, requires special attention. A racing stock car with its clothes off looks like this. This is a 1962 Ford with the body off, made into a racing machine by Holman and Moody of Charlotte, North Carolina. In the back, the white lines indicate where the frame has been reinforced with extra welding. At the rear axle, heavy-duty shock absorbers have been added and heavy leaf springs. Up here we have what is known as a roll bar. The drivers, owners, and mechanics hope that it will never be used, but it's there to protect the driver in case the car should overturn on top of him. In the front of the car, heavy-duty front suspension units, big posts to support oversized shock absorbers, an oil cooler up front there with the 2 pipes to make the engine run cooler, large exhaust pipes to carry the flow out to the sides, and here, a 4-speed transmission to enable quick getaway from the pit stops. All in all, a stock car tailored for the speedway. And in the garage area, last-minute adjustments by top-flight mechanics to tune every bit of horsepower into these racing automobiles. The engines specially made by the Detroit factories to give high performance. Here, a 406 horsepower Ford that had some trouble in practice is being put back together by the mechanics. You'll notice just one carburetor which burns pump gasoline, and these engines still push these cars around at 160 miles an hour. Precision fitting going on here as the mechanic sits the intake manifold back on top of this engine. Plymouth's 413, Chrysler, Pontiac, all the makers have high performance engines for these stock car mechanics to use in their racing stock cars. Bringing into play now an impact wrench to speed up the installation of the intake manifold. This wrench plays an important part during the pit stops when it's brought out on the line to loosen the lug nuts on the tires as they are taken off during the pit stops. And now for some of the men who will be driving these machines, the big crew cut, 6 feet 2 inches, 190 pounds, hometown favorite Glenn Fireball Roberts, winner of the first Firecracker and back home for his first start after a successful invasion of France in the Le Mans 24-hour Classic. national point standing leader. Joe Weatherly, a former national motorcycle champion, talks with Florida Senator Smathers about the big day here at the Daytona International Speedway. He's driving a Pontiac. Johnny Allen, 27-year-old bridegroom from Atlanta, one of the fastest qualifiers and owner of the third starting position for today's 250-mile grind. 27-year-old David Pearson, last year's Firecracker winner and the big money winner in 1961 on the NASCAR Grand National Circuit. Burley Jack Smith, formerly of Atlanta, now living in Spartanburg, South Carolina, at 37 years of age, one of two grandfathers in the event. He was the winner of the 1960 Firecracker 250 and has 15 years of experience behind him. Here's 30-year-old Junior Johnson of Rhonda, North Carolina, 5'11", 215 pounds of racing driver. He took the checkered flag first in the 1960 Daytona 500. And here's 27-year-old Bobby Sox idol Fred Lorenzen of Elmhurst, Illinois. Two-time national champion and master of the acknowledged technique of drafting here, the standard bearer of the Ford team. Now the cars pull out to get started along the pit lane. These automobiles, just as you could buy them in the showroom with a lot of decals. And now back to you, Bill Fleming.
We're just a few moments away now from the start of the pace lap, and we'll be back with all the action from the Firecracker 250 on ABC's Wide World of Sports. We're back at the Daytona International Speedway for the start of the Firecracker 250. The pace car is on the track. The other cars strung out behind. Bill France driving the pace car. Senator Smathers sitting next to him. And here's the field. On the pole, Edwin Banjo Matthews in a 62 Pontiac, and next to him is Bobby Johns, also in a 62 Pontiac. Johnny Allen on the inside of row 2 in a 62 Pontiac, and Glenn Fireball Roberts on the outside of row 2, who won here in the 500-mile race in February. He's driving a 62 Pontiac also. Dave Pearson, who won the Daytona 250, that was a year ago today, in the 62 Pontiac on the inside of row 3. Joe Weatherly, the leading NASCAR Grand National point champion right now, in a 62 Pontiac. He's outside of row 3. In row 4, Junior Johnson in a 62 Pontiac and Jack Smith in a 62 Pontiac. Fred Lorenzen and Marv Panch in 62 Fords are in row 5. Dick Petty in a 62 Plymouth, Jimmy Pardue in a 62 Pontiac in row 6. Art Malone in a 62 Pontiac and Leroy Yarbrough in a 61 Pontiac. The car that Pearson drove to victory last year are in row 7. In row 8, Nelson Stacy in a 62 Ford, Larry Frank in a 62 Ford. Bob Welburn is in row 9. He's in a 62 Pontiac, and Ralph Earnhardt next to him in a 62 Pontiac. Larry Thomas in a 62 Dodge in row 10, along with Tom Pistone in a 62 Chevy. Rex White in row 11 in a 62 Chevy, and Roscoe Thompson in a 62 Mercury. In the 12th row, Ned Jarrett in a 62 Chevy, and Johnny Dodd Jr. in a 61 Ford. In the 13th row, Buddy Baker and his father Buck Baker, both driving 62 Chryslers. In the 14th, Herm Beam in a 62 Ford and Darrell Derringer in a 62 Dodge. Tom Cox and Tom Irwin in the 15th, George Green in the 16th, and Tubby Gonzalez and Kurt Kreider in the 17th row. The pace car has pulled off. The green flag is out, and we're underway. It's official. 33 of the nation's fastest late model stock cars are underway on a 250-mile grind over this 2.5-mile high-banked oval. And shooting down into the lead now very quickly is Bobby Johns as they pour the coal to it on this first lap. And somebody's in trouble up high. Down low he goes, and he's hit. One of the cars got sideways and was hit from behind car number 97. There is Tom Pistone. And the car that was hit looks like car number 12. There's the car that hit him, car number 97, and car 12 is the one kicking up some dust there. That would be Bob Welburn in a 62 Pontiac. Tom Pistone in a 62 Chevy apparently brushed him, but not too severely. And both cars are, I think, going to try to remain in the race. So here are the leaders, and here they come. So we had a mishap right off the bat on the first lap. Fireball Roberts is in the lead, and the yellow lights are on. The yellow lights are on. There must be some debris out on the track because the yellow caution light is on, and it means that Fireball Roberts, followed by Banjo Matthews and Bobby Johns, 1, 2, and 3 as they go down the backstretch. The caution light is on, so the cars must hold position. And here is the end of the second lap. Banjo Matthews, Fireball Roberts, and Bobby Johns. And behind them comes Junior Johnson. Now you see down in the pit area That is car number 97 being worked on right now, and that is Tom Pistone of Chicago, Illinois, in a 62 Chevrolet. And apparently he got brushed down there because, as you can see, they're changing the right rear tire. He may have dented a fender, and it might be rubbing. Yes, I see quite a big dent in that right rear fender. Other cars in the pit area. Now we pick up the leaders. And here they come down the front straightaway. Banjo Matthews, Fireball Roberts, and right behind them is Bobby Johns. 362 Pontiacs leading this field, and they are on the 4th lap. More cars into the pit area, and right into the head of the pit area, there's a car limping in, and we'll spot him for you as quickly as we can. It's car number 4, Rex White of Spartanburg, South Carolina, in a 62 Chevrolet. Rex White limping into the pit, and following him in car number 27 is Tommy Irwin, also in a 62 Chevy from Inman, South Carolina. So apparently something happened over there to Rex White, a former Grand National NASCAR champion of 1960. He has limped into the pit area. The right front wheel is down. A very costly little error there at the beginning of the race. Not necessarily an error, but let's say a mishap. Because on the very first lap, 3 or 4 cars were involved in some sort of a tangle. And here you see them working on the car of Rex White, frantically hoping to get him back in the race. Car number 27 is officially out of the race right now, Tommy Irwin. Well, Banjo Matthews and Fireball Roberts, they said those were the fellows to watch. I guess you had to consider the fact that Banjo Matthews was the top qualifier at 164.499 miles per hour, setting a new record. It's no wonder that he was the prime favorite to win this 4th annual Firecracker 250. And Rex White is coming out of the pit area. He is back on the apron and coming back on the track, and here come the leaders. Dave Pearson now has moved into 4th place, and you see Rex White pulling out onto the track, getting the green light to go back on. So fortunately, Rex White, even though he had to go the slow way around after the mishap on the number 2 turn of the first lap, finally got back into the pit area, and he's got some ground to make up. And here come the leaders now, as Banjo Matthews hangs on, and moving up behind him very close, just breathing right down on his neck, is Bobby Johns of Miami, Florida, in a 62 Pontiac. Banjo in car 02. And here was a car spinning right down in front of us, and it looks like he put a pretty big dent in the guardrail. That's 43. That's Dick Petty of Randall, North Carolina, in a 62 Plymouth. Dick Petty spun, hit the guardrail, and as you can see, a tremendous rent in the steel rail, and here comes Dick dejectedly taking off his helmet. And boy, we have really had some mishaps at the beginning of this race. We're only on 6 laps, and already we've had 4 or 5 cars involved. These tremendous speeds that these fellows are capable of, 160 miles an hour, and everybody's predicting new records for this race, certainly have taken their toll. We'll be back in just a moment with more racing action from the Firecracker 250. The Gillette Safety Razor Company is bringing you this segment of ABC's Wide World of Sports. Now as the cars move down the backstretch, it looks like Bobby Johns has overtaken the Banjo. As they ride up high, we put the glasses on him, and it is Bobby Johns out in front, Banjo Matthews and Fireball Roberts. So Bobby Johns now has decided to take over the lead. Hanging back of Banjo, drafting him just enough to get by. It's Bobby Johns in front, Banjo Matthews in second place, and Fireball Roberts behind him. So Bobby decided to make his move on the 19th lap, And that is when he has moved in the lead. He had it briefly a short time ago and couldn't hold on to it. Let's see if he can hang on to it this time. You'll see other traffic on the track now because the leader cars are passing many of the slower cars on the track. But Bobby Johns has the lead, followed by Banjo Matthews, and right behind him is Fireball Roberts. And again, they're lapping some of the slower cars lower down on the track. Up high goes Bobby Johns. Let's get a timer on the lead car as it comes by the next time, and let's take a check and see how fast they're really moving. As Banjo Matthews goes by, you can see that the gap again has been narrowed. And as they move, yes, go ahead, Chris, go ahead.
We've got Richard Petty down here. Richard, what happened down there?
Well, it sucked the back end out from under me. I sort of lost it.
You what?
Got a little behind on my steering down there.
I see. Did you hit anything?
I finally run into the fence down there and messed the front end up on it.
You can't get back in the race.
No, I
that's
messed
not
it
the
up.
break, Richard.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Running pretty good.
Yeah, that's true. How's the track? Very fast?
Fast, awful fast.
Was there anything left on it from that first lap accident?
No, we didn't see nothing except the car. Everything else was off.
I see. Well, better luck next time, Richard Petty. Back to you, Bill Fleming.
Okay, Chris, thank you very much. A quick reminder here that in a short time, we'll be going across the seas to Troon, Scotland for action in the British Open Golf Championship. We understand action there is just as exciting as it is here at the Daytona Firecracker 250. Now moving into the 21st lap, Bobby Johns of Miami, Florida has the lead. Banjo Matthews in second place, and Fireball Roberts is in third place. And we have the official time now. We are running better than 162 miles an hour, setting records as we go. The old record for 10 laps was 156 miles an hour, set by Fireball Roberts in a 61 Pontiac last year on the Firecracker 250 date. And the new record is 162.454 miles per hour, set by Banjo Matthews. And at the end of 20 laps, 162.016. Again, a new record, 6 miles an hour faster than they were running last year. Now one of the hotter cars coming into the pit area is Nelson Stacy in car number 29. Nelson in a 62 Ford is pulling down there, and as he puts on the brakes, Chris Economaki will be running over into that area. They're going to put new rubber on the right side of the car, get some fuel in the car. And Chris, if you're standing by, you might say a word about the condition of the automobile.
Well, we're down here right at the front. It looks very good. Stacy seems very calm. It's a tire change here. Precautionary tire change. These big boys are changing both of the right side tires. Apparently there's 160 mile an hour pace is burning up the rubber, but they're knocking out the body on the right front corner of the car. It apparently got brushed against the wall or perhaps another automobile and was rubbing against the tire. The tires seemed to have a lot of wear left on them, but it apparently was this contact with either another automobile or the wall that brought him in early. And back to you, Bill Fleming.
Now the leader at the end of 23 laps is Banjo Matthews, who has recaptured the lead from Bobby Johns. And in third place is Fireball Roberts. So Banjo Matthews goes by, and Bobby Johns is right behind him, and Fireball behind him. Fireball Roberts has been doing a pretty good job of running a very steady race. He hasn't done any challenging for the lead. He's been in third place, and he's let Bobby Johns and Banjo Matthews sort of have at each other every once in a while. Here comes car number 46 into the pit area. That's Johnny Allen. Johnny was running fourth most of the time. And as Johnny pulls into the pit area, of course, it's going to cost him some precious seconds down there. He was in fourth place until he had to slow down and come into the pit area, and we'll have a new fourth place driver and car because of his stop. Chris, what can you see? Chris, go ahead.
Up, Jack. Allen wiped his face. They're pushing the car back. It's a sad-looking crew. Whatever it is, it seems to be permanent. Gene, what seems to be the trouble?
I don't know. I just fixed the tire.
Engines?
I think it must be engine trouble of some kind.
I see. Well, tough luck. The official word from the steward is transmission trouble on Johnny Allen's number 46, Bill.
Oh, that's a real tough break for Johnny Allen of Atlanta, Georgia, a fellow who really desperately wanted to win, and the transmission trouble putting him out of the race. Chris, I'm not surprised, are you, that they're having so many problems mechanically today because of this tremendous pace? Did you hear me say, Chris, earlier that they are doing better than 162 miles an hour? Truly astounding.
It's a tremendous pace, Bill, and as the evidence that the cars are banging one another, if great drivers are hitting one another, the pace is just really too fast almost to keep it a straight line, and I think we're going to have more cars in before the afternoon is over to get fenders pulled off of wheels.
We'll be back in just a moment with more racing action from the Firecracker 250 on ABC's Wide World of Sports. While we're watching to see just how fast the pace is, we'll mention to you some of the cars that are out of the race. Johnny Allen out with transmission trouble. Art Malone, Tom Pistone, Bob Welborn, and Rex White were the ones involved in that first lap mishap. So right away we eliminated 4 cars, and it seemed that Bob Welborn got sideways and the rest locked their brakes to try to avoid it, and that's the reason that we had the mishap on the first lap. Now the timer starts, and so you can sort of take a check here as the cars go by to see how fast they're going. Tommy Irwin is out of the race. Richard Petty spun out. You saw him do that and dent the guard rail. Johnny Dodd is out of the race after overheating. Tom Pistone is out because of suspension trouble brought on by that first lap accident. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 cars out of the race of the starting 33. Again, if you want to check your speed chart, if he does 56 seconds flat, it's 160.71. If he does 55 seconds flat, it's 163.64. .4 is what we get, and that would indicate 159.57 miles per hour. So apparently the pace has slowed down just a little bit from the speeds of earlier in the race. Right now the fellows are thinking about those tires, and that may be the reason for it. They're on the 34th lap. Most of them wanted to come in between 35 and 40 to get new rubber on the right side. The right side, of course, taking a tremendous pounding because the weight of the car is swung to the right side when they go into those high bank turns. In fact, the left front very, very seldom has to be changed. Now, this may mean that they want Bobby Johns to come in at the end of 35 laps. That's a sign from the pit crew. They're holding it up for him as he goes by. And Bobby has regained the lead from Banjo Matthews, and Fireball Roberts still hanging right in there in 3rd place. So Bobby Johns and Banjo have been sort of jockeying back and forth. Banjo Matthews on the inside, Bobby Johns right on the outside, and once again Banjo has the lead, and Fireball may be making his move. Fireball Roberts has closed the gap a little bit, but there goes Bobby Johns scooting by Banjo Matthews. So Bobby Johns takes the thrust, and now we have smoke on the far side and a car spinning. It's a yellow car on the infield on the far side, just at the between the number 3 and number 4 turns. So there is another mishap, and we'll be getting the information for you. Try to find out and spot who that car is. You can see him down there, and I can barely make out a number 8. It looks like number 8 anyway. We don't want to make any snap judgment here, but if it is number 8, it would be Joe Weatherly of Norfolk, Virginia. Once you see smoke go up around this track, you know that somebody is in trouble. Davey Pearson is coming into the pit area. Davey, who won this race last year in his 61 Pontiac, is the defending champion, so to speak, and he's coming in on the leader's 36th lap, and he'll be getting fuel and some new rubber. And Davey driving a new 62 Pontiac this year and would like very much to repeat the victory that he had a year ago.
Car number 3, David Pierce, is in, and there's a little panic down there. The wheel is rolling out into the pit lane. There goes one of the Firestone engineers after it. And as we say, this is the beginning of the crucial time of the race, approaching 100 miles, 40 laps on the track, when all of the major contenders will be stopping. Right side tires are being changed on the Jerry-O Pontiac. That's it, Bill.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris Economaki. And here's Bobby Johns, your leader. And of course, we should mention here that it's very important on these pit stops to see how long they're going to take. Here comes Banjo Matthews in, Chris, in case you can't see him moving into your area. And let's see how long it's going to take him to get some fuel and some new rubber.
They're going like a bomb here. They're jacking up the right side of the car. The right front tire is off of pneumatic wrenches, as is the right rear. And Banjo's getting a drink. He looks very calm behind the wheel. The gasoline is being shaken in there. It's really furious down here. Some of the pit men have fluorescent jackets, and there he goes in what looks like a tremendous stop, Bill.
Oh, you can say that again, Chris. We had him in just a little bit over 35 seconds for that pit stop. Isn't that phenomenal? All right, Bobby Johns still has the lead, but remember this, Bobby Johns has some time to put into that pit for himself, as Banjo Matthews had a beautiful pit stop. In fact, we should mention here that that pit crew worked out all yesterday afternoon to see if they could shave some time off those pit stops. Now, a good break for Bobby Johns because the yellow flag is out right now. Fireball moving down to his pit. And that is the same pit crew that services Banjo Matthews' car, so let's see what they can do here. We'll start the stopwatch, and Chris, take it over.
And here is, Bill, here's another expert crew at work, and it's the same crew that got Banjo Matthews on the track, the Ray Nichols crew. They're sharing the pit work. Nobody's saying a word to Fireball. Maybe we can get a little something out of him while the car's still up. And the wind is up. The wind is up. We can't get a word out of him. We thought perhaps it might be down, but this looks like the championship crew so far. Windshield being clean, both right side tires, 20 gallons of fuel. The clock seems to be ticking away just a little bit longer than it did for Matthews. And there it's down and off. Whoops, he's running over the jack. He hurt his exhaust pipe. Bill, as he started to pull out, the jack was not all the way down, and it gripped the right-hand exhaust pipe. Even the mechanics don't know this. This could be a factor late in the race.
Right you are, Chris, and we had a pretty good picture of that, too. That pit stop, incidentally, of Fireball Roberts was not as quick as the earlier one. That you see is the safety car that is leading the field. That has the yellow flag on it. This simply goes out onto the track anytime the yellow caution light goes out, and it goes in front of the lead car. Now, what it does, it merely sets the pace. And these fellas have to hold their position and hold the speed set by the safety car. As soon as any debris is off the track, the safety car will come back on in, and the race will be under the green light once again. And I believe Bobby Johns is coming into the pit area. Bobby Johns is coming in, and he's followed closely there by another car. That's car number 6 moving in, Junior Johnson. All right, let's put the stopwatch on Bobby Johns as soon as his car stops. You've got it, Chris.
Yeah, we're right here, and Bobby Johns' crew and his father is certainly glad to see him. They're checking the tires. We've got our camera on the driver. Let's see if his window is down. We're going to try and get in there and get a word with him. What it's like. How's the track, Bobby?
Good. It's plenty fast, I believe.
Oh, that's good. There you heard Bobby Johns during the pit stop. One of those rare interviews that happen in stock car racing. They're about ready to send him on his way. I hope the watch is ticking. There seems these fellas get violent with the gasoline cans to get the last few drops out into the tank. A 20-gallon limit. It's a lot calmer pit stop here for Bobby Johns than it was the early ones, and off he goes. How was it?
Well, it was all right, but of course, when you're measuring against 35 and 33 seconds, he lost about 5 to 7 seconds to both Banjo Matthews and Fireball Roberts. His was just a little bit over 40 seconds. We'll be back in just a moment with more racing action from the Firecracker 250 on ABC's Wide World of Sports. And now here comes Fireball Roberts into the pit area, and we'll see how long it takes him to get him in and out with some new rubber.
Well, let's that crew at work. We've got a shot showing most of it down there. As you can see, one can of gas is already in.
Chris.
The second can is going in down there. It's just gasoline, no tires. A very quick one for the Fireball.
Boy, a very quick one indeed, but Bobby Johns is out of the race, Chris. I don't think you know that because just as he went by here, he slowed down. Junior Johnson blew him right by, and then Bobby Johns slowed down. He's midway through the backstretch, and it looks like he has a very sick car. Bobby Johns ran that car literally for 80 laps right into the ground, and he is just coming into the number 3 turn very slowly. And here is your new leader, Junior Johnson, who's going to make a pit stop right at this time. Now, if he can keep that car going, he is going to be your winner of the Firecracker 250 because he has a slight lead on Roberts. Although Roberts made a tremendously fast pit stop, let's clock this one. We had about a 25-second one, although we were distracted momentarily because of Bobby Johns slowing down. Oh, look at that one, will you? Oh, as she coughed for just a moment and everybody groaned. But Junior Johnson has got it rolling again. And Bobby Johns is just coming into the pit area. Junior Johnson is just about got it going, and there's a car right in front of him that's smoking very badly, which means trouble for him. But here comes Bobby Johns. We thought he was out of the race. He limped all the way around the field. And as he comes into the pit area, Chris, find out what you can.
What's the trouble, Bobby?
Don't know yet.
He doesn't know, but he is in trouble. He's getting a drink, and the hood is going up on the car. So we'll see if we can't get a shot of the end of the hood work here. Smoking engine here. We do not know just what the trouble is. The engine has been turned off. It's jacking up the right side of the car. Tires are being changed just in case it can be restarted. But it looks as though another Pontiac here. John is getting out. It's a sad-looking crew here. Bobby's soaking wet from top to bottom with perspiration. We'll see if we can't get a word with him here.
Well, you can hear the cheers in the background for him. Everybody over in the infield is just as sympathetic as they can be for Bobby Johns, who drove a tremendous race. I don't think we've had any duel like the one that we saw today. Banjo Matthews was the first victim of the blistering pace. He went out with a broken transmission on the 74th lap, and now on the 80th lap, Bobby Johns is in the pit area, as you can see. And
I haven't got the slightest idea.
What happened?
I don't know.
Banjo Matthews, whose car went out, talking with Bobby Johns here.
Transmission.
Something must happen to mine too because I drove it in, but I can't.
It was transmission.
Vibrating like the devil. I think it's a transmission again. I'm not
Tough
sure.
break. What actually goes in the transmissions, Bobby, when they let go?
Well, it's a 4-speed transmission, and you've got another set of gears in there to turn all the time, and I believe that extra set of gears puts an added strain on the transmission that we never had before. It's 3-speed.
I see. Well, you seem to be drenched from head to toe. Is it very hot in the car?
Rather.
Okay, tough luck, Bobby Johns. Better luck next time. There you go, Bill.
all right, only 15 cars are left running in the race, and Banjo Matthews out on 74, Bobby Johns out on 80, with both with transmission trouble. That's what happens when you turn these laps at 162 plus miles per hour. And now the fellow to watch is Junior Johnson, and the reason to watch him is because right now he is going to try to put the press on Fireball Roberts, who according to the scoring sheet is your leader. We'll be back in just a moment with more action from the Firecracker 250 stock car race on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Fireball Roberts has just received the official sign from Johnny Bruner, the starter, that he has 5 laps to go. 5 laps to go for Fireball Roberts and Junior Johnson, who are on the same lap. Marv Panch in 3rd place is 2 laps behind. In 4th place is Jack Smith, also 2 laps behind. We have 15 cars still in the running. So we have lost better than half our field with the torrid pace of today. Fortunately, however, only the cars have been damaged. All the drivers are healthy and safe, although many of them are very disappointed. We're taking a check on Fireball Roberts unofficially with our clock here in the television booth. He turned that lap in 56 seconds flat. And now we'll see what Junior Johnson is turning him in. Fireball still has about an 8.5 second lead on the second place car, Junior Johnson. Fireball running 160.71 miles per hour on that last lap. Boy, this has been a great race because early going had it Banjo Matthews and Bobby Johns. Fireball Roberts was hanging in there third almost all the way, sort of pacing himself, and now he has seen those two other cars drop out because of mechanical difficulties, and Fireball Roberts is out in front. White flag will be out for Fireball Roberts, and there you see it. A white flag is out for Fireball Roberts. It also will be out for Junior Johnson. And we're taking a check here. Now Junior Johnson is 12.5 seconds behind. Almost 13 seconds behind Fireball Roberts. So Fireball Roberts is the man who looks to be your winner of the 4th annual Firecracker 250. All the people are pouring across the track from the infield to victory lane, and they will be awaiting anxiously now for Fireball to get the checkered flag. Johnny Bruner has it out of the casing, and Fireball Roberts has a comfortable lead now over the second place car, Junior Johnson. Everybody's standing now up in the grandstand area, and here he comes. A checkered flag taken by Glenn Fireball Roberts. And we'll see how far behind the second place finisher will be. Well, it's an even 12 seconds behind as Fireball perhaps let up a little bit on that last lap, saying to it, I don't want you to quit right now. We're too close to the finish line. So Fireball Roberts has coupled his Daytona 500 victory with a victory here in the Firecracker 250, and I think it's a very important feature, the fact that he has sort of gone over the hump as far as the jinx was concerned. He seemed to be plagued with bad trouble as far as mechanical problems were concerned. After winning the first Firecracker 250 in '59, he had all kinds of trouble and really didn't break through until this year when he won the 500. If you'll recall, last year he led most of the way, blew a tire, and had to finish 5th. Today, he ran a smart race. He let the two real fast cars, Banjo Matthews and Bobby Johns, burn themselves out. He was there and ready to take over when they did. We'll be back in just a moment with a visit to the winner's circle on the Firecracker 250 on ABC's Wide World of Sports. Back at the Daytona International Speedway, the conclusion of the Firecracker 250 in the winner's circle is car number 22, driven by Fireball Roberts, a '62 Pontiac, and there to talk to the champion is Chris Economaki.
No, they didn't, but I'd like to take the time right now to thank my pit crew, all of them. They beat these other guys, and especially Banjo Matthews, who set the car up. He did a wonderful job, and it brought me home like a champ.
Fireball, here's his wife, Doris, giving a kiss. Doris, you're a regular Victory Lane visitor here. Fireball's busy. What kind of a family have you?
We have a daughter.
How old?
11.
I see. Was she around here?
Yes, she was in the score stand. She'll be down in a few minutes.
I see, fine. Fireball, was it really hot in the car?
Well, it was pretty hot trying to keep up with Banjo. You can say that.
Well, boy, it's nice to see a big smile on your face, Fireball. Congratulations. After a lot of heartbreak, you've won another one here. A deserved win for Fireball Roberts, a hometown driver, scoring a popular victory.
And I'm sure all the well-wishers following Fireball Roberts are very happy with his victory today. His average winning speed, 153.688 miles per hour. Fireball Roberts in first place, Junior Johnson in a '62 Pontiac in second place, Marv Panch in third place in a '62 Ford, Jack Smith in fourth in a '62 Pontiac, Jimmy Pardue in 5th place in a 62 Pontiac. Ned Jarrett is in 6th place, 62 Chevy. Then came Larry Frank in a 62 Ford in 7th place. Then following, Dave Pearson in 8th, Larry Thomas in 9th, Art Malone in 10th, Rex White in 11th, Buck Baker in 12th, Herm Beam, George Green, and Ralph Earnhardt finished out the field. 15 cars finished, 33 started, and the fastest of them all was Glenn Fireball Roberts. The pace was set early by his running mate Banjo Matthews. He and Bobby Johns went at it tooth and nail, but when the final chips were down at the end of 100 laps, the checkered flag went out for the popular champion from Daytona Beach, Florida, Glenn Fireball Roberts. Our thanks to the Daytona International Speedway, William H.G. France, President, and William C. France, Vice President. Also to the NASCAR Field Manager, John Bruner. The executive producer of ABC's Wide World of Sports is Rune Arledge. The Firecracker 250 was produced by Dick Kirchner. Director was Mac Hemian. Associate Director, Louis Frederick. Technical Director, William Morris. The British Open Golf Tournament was produced by William Seaman. Associate Director, Ronald Hawkins. The assistant to the executive producer is Chuck Howard. Daytona technical pickup provided by ABC New York. The preceding was on videotape. Remember, the U.S.-Russian track and field meet next week. And now this is Bill Fleming along with Jim McKay and Chris Economaki saying so long from Daytona.